Welcome to our pH video.
It's Mallory,
Ella,
and Addison.
In this video, we are going to be covering buffers, the difference between a strong and weak acid, calibrating, cleaning, and storing the pH meter, and also obtaining pH.
A buffer is a solution that resists changes in pH with the addition of small amounts of acid or base. The conjugate pair, also known as the buffer, is what keeps the solution at the relative same pH.
Strong acids ionize completely in water, and weak acids do not. The strong acid we used in this lab is HCl, and the weak acid we used is acetic acid.
When preparing the pH meter, we plugged it in and then calibrated. After taking the electrode out, we placed it into the buffer with a pH of 7. While the electrode was in the buffer, we inputted 7 into the pH meter. Following that, we rinsed the meter in distilled water before placing the meter into the buffer with a pH of 4 and plugged in the number 4 into the pH meter. After we calibrated the meter, we rinsed the electrode off with distilled water and placed it into a clean beaker of distilled water.
Exercise 3 called for us to create and measure the pH of a buffer solution. In order to make the buffer, we added 30 milliliters of the 0.2 moles per liter stock solution of sodium hydroxide to 60 milliliters of the 0.2 moles per liter stock solution of acetic acid. We then measured the pH of the buffer and got the value of 4.6. We then took 10 milliliters of that buffer solution and added it to a new beaker with 30 milliliters of tap water. We then measured the pH of that solution and got the value 2.73. Then, we added 10 milliliters of the 0.2 moles per liter HCl solution to the beaker with the buffer solution and the tap water, and took the pH of that solution, which gave us the pH value of 1.65.
Before placing the electrode into the solution, it should be rinsed off with distilled water. After the electrode is rinsed off and used for the testing of the pH, it should be rinsed off again with distilled water and then placed back into a beaker of distilled water. Also, while the meter is not in use, the electrode should be kept in the beaker with the distilled water. After using the pH meter, it must be rinsed off thoroughly with distilled water again and placed back into its stored solution. The solutions from the experiment can be poured into the sink, and all other materials, including the beakers and graduated cylinders, must be cleaned with soap and water.